In the name of Deputy Clare Daly to the Minister for Transport, Tourism and Sport, the implications of Norwegian Air transatlantic flights from Cork. Deputy Daly.
Thanks very much, Cathaoirleach, and I'm delighted to get the opportunity to discuss this issue because I was somewhat shocked at the one-sided nature of the coverage and the welcoming and the fawning over the announcement that Norwegian Air are going to be operating transatlantic flights from Cork. I think this is a move which has been long in the making and been an issue of major concern for unions in the airline industry on both sides of the Atlantic. As we know, NAI is a wholly owned Irish subsidiary of NAS, and the reality is that this scheme has been a long time in the making. Really, what is attempted to be done here is an effort to circumvent the US-EU Open Skies Agreement and usher in a Walmart-style race to the bottom for cheap labour. These are the words of some of the American unions who have said, this is the story. A Norwegian airline registers its aircraft in Ireland, rents flight crews based in Thailand, covered by labour laws of Singapore, and then applies for a foreign air carrier permit from the United States. This is the business model of NAS. Now, I think the important point that I'd like you to address, Minister, is NAS already had the relevant US permits to fly. They could have operated from Cork to Boston for the last 2 years, but they held off until they got the US permit for their Irish subsidiary NAI. Why is that? There would have been no difference at all to the consumer. The airlines in the group offer a common product, have a common brand, all identical. The only reason why they held off for this was that operating the Cork US routes under their existing permits was really to, if you like, cynically engage the Irish-American lobby and this government into getting the permit, the US permit for NAI to operate in what is in effect a policy of social dumping. And the CEO of NAI has had meetings with IALPA and the pilots' unions here in Ireland and admitted that the business model for NAI would not work unless we have a model of Asian cost base on the EU-US routes. That's the only way that cheap fares can be offered in this way. And while there may be a temporary advantage in getting people easy, more low-cost access to the United States or whatever, it is ultimately going to be at a cost of undermining jobs and conditions in the airline industry. And as far as I'm concerned, it's incredibly serious. Now, I've heard utterances from NAI saying, oh, no, we're not going to use Asian crew and all the rest. Let me be very clear here. This is not about the nationality or the base of the crew involved. What it is about is the jurisdiction of the contracts of employment that they operate under. An Asian crew are being paid currently between $400 and $450 per month. The precedent is already there. We know that this airline has transported and travelled from Oslo to the US on 100% crew based in Thailand. Irish wages, American wages couldn't compete with that. And I put it to you, Minister, that this arrangement really is your department facilitating what is in essence and could be called nothing else other than social dumping. Ireland is now a flag of convenience in a race to the bottom of labour laws. And I know the pilots have asked to meet you. I'd like you to comment on that because they are desperately keen that you would take them up on that offer if you're so sure that this is the best way forward.
Mr. Ross.
I'll comment on that when I've spoken about this, and certainly in my second reply. I'd be delighted to do that. Yes, I welcome the opportunity to address the House on the recent very positive developments in relation to Irish airline NAI, Norwegian Air International. And I thank the Deputy for raising this issue. I personally welcomed the decision last Friday by the US Department of Transportation to grant a foreign air carrier permit application to NAI. Under the terms of the EU-US Open Skies Agreement, this permit will now allow the airline to fly from any airport in the 28 EU member states, as well as Norway and Iceland, to any airport in the United States. The airline had hoped to start transatlantic services from Cork Airport last summer, but this was not possible without the permit from the US authorities. The airline has confirmed this week that the detailed planning is underway, with the first flights planned to take off next summer. Its immediate focus is on finalising plans for transatlantic flights from Cork and also Shannon. However, work is also underway to look at further opportunities for expansion of services. It has said it will focus on making transatlantic travel affordable for all, with low-cost fares and high-quality service. NAI is an Irish airline within the Norwegian Air Group. The group also has airlines licensed in Norway and the UK. It is not unusual for an airline group to be made up of individual airlines licensed in different countries. For instance, Aer Lingus is also now part of the IAG group, which comprises a number of airlines in different European countries. NAI was licensed as an Irish airline in February 2014. Despite the delay in getting its US permit, it has been able to grow its European operations rapidly within the EU single aviation market. The airline is headquartered in Dublin Airport, from where a sizable team of aviation professionals operate nearly 50 aircraft, all on the Irish aircraft register. The airline currently operates flights throughout Europe. Now, with a permit to fly to the US, NAI will be able to add transatlantic operations and to continue to grow its business from Ireland. The Irish government has been very supportive of the airline from the outset and has shared in Norwegian Air's frustration at the delay in making a decision on its application for a US permit. The airline has said that the primary motivation for establishing an Irish airline was to have an EU-based airline within the group, since Norway is not a member state of the EU. The controversy created in the US facilitated a rather uninformed and misleading debate. A range of allegations were made against the airline's business model, and this is not undermining the case that the deputy has made, which I think is quite genuinely and sincerely made, as well as commentary on Ireland's ability to provide effective safety oversight of NAI. The government has always made its position on this clear, and it's been supported. Ireland has made it clear that there was no basis for the irresponsible, unfounded and damaging public statements that have been made about the standard of social employment protection in Ireland and about the capability of Irish regulatory authorities to effectively oversee the safety of NAI's operation. The European Commission has also been resolute in its support for NAI, and I've already thanked the European Commissioner for Transport for this. When first put in place back in 2007, the Open Skies Agreement with the US was designed to encourage competition in the transatlantic air market. New services from smaller airports, such as Cork, which have never had transatlantic services, is precisely the type of innovation that the agreement was designed to facilitate. Passenger numbers at both Cork Airport have been slower to recover than at Dublin and Shannon. I'm happy to report that after 7 straight years of declining passenger numbers, the last year has seen a return to growth at the airport. The announcement this week by the CEO of Norwegian, the airline's intention to launch its Cork-Boston route in summer 2017, will provide a further boost to the airport and help increase connectivity in the region. This announcement comes on the back of an announcement by the Icelandic low-cost operator WOW, a new airline to the region, which is to commence a new Cork-Reykjavik and via Reykjavik to the US East Coast and Canada service next year. The announcement of these new services, an example of the confidence that the business community has in our southern region of Cork and the south of Ireland. Additionally, the provision of air access from North America to one of the starting points of the Wild Atlantic Way in Ireland's ancient east would be a significant boost to transatlantic tourism.
Well, I'll put it to you, Minister. I mean, why do you think that Norwegian Airways, which have no connection whatsoever with Ireland and a number of wholly owned subsidiaries already, no connection whatsoever, decided to set up a base in Ireland? And the only conclusion you can come to, given the size of our population, we're not really that attractive, is it was done to avoid Norway's labour and tax laws. The reality is that, in actual fact, this carrier could have operated its base last year. It wasn't that they needed to get the clearance to operate last year. They couldn't have done it with access to the cheaper crews. Now they can. That was the difference. So they chose to do that. And the reason why they chose to do it backs up the statement by their CEO that the only basis of the viability of doing this, it wouldn't work unless they had access to the Asian cost base. And I again want to maybe make the point and register it. By allowing this arrangement to go ahead, in reality, we are standing over a type of social dumping, because it is the point, and I want to, sort of nail any idea that there's a sort of a racism in this or anything like that. It's nothing to do with that. The objection is about the jurisdiction of the contract of employment, not the citizenship or the base of the crew. For example, Irish crew working in different airlines all over the world are employed under contracts in different countries and have no right, for example, to the Irish Labour Court, even if they live in Dublin. And this arrangement facilitates the employment of crew who are covered by arrangements in Asia, where wages are, sadly, of the mechanism of $400 to $450 per month. And that is incredibly serious threat to conditions of employment in Ireland, across Europe and in America, which is why the AFL-CIO and the American unions in particular had huge concerns about this measure. And again, I suppose the last time Ireland was put out there as a lucrative base to attract people in, we had that in our banking sector, and look where that ended up. And now we're going to sort of pimp the country out as a sort of a place where airlines with no connection to here, because let's be clear, they've said no crew and no pilots that they will employ will be Irish. They're not taking on any Irish staff. We know that, so why are they here? And this country is being put out there for a laxity in terms of labour and tax
Thank you, Deputy.
rates.
Minister, to conclude, please.
Thank you. I think what the Deputy said is speculative. Maybe she's right, maybe she's wrong. I don't believe she's right, but we'll wait and see. All I can see is the evidence in front of me of what the airline itself has stated. And it stated that NAI has no Asian-based crew and that US and EU-based crew will be used on NAI transatlantic services. It is also stated that Norwegian always follows the rules and regulations in all the markets in which it operates and offers employees competitive wages and conditions. It won't be able to do anything that either, for example, Aer Lingus or Ryanair cannot do already, so it won't be in any different category. As has been communicated to Deputy Daly recently in a reply in relation to NAI's employment practices, my department has not undertaken an examination of the specific employment practices of any Irish airline. All matters related to employment contracts are an operational matter for the airlines and not under my remit as Minister for Transport, Tourism and Sport. However, I would like to reiterate to the Deputy again that Ireland has a robust suite of employment rights legislation which offers extensive protection to employees. But I would say to Deputy Daly this, that I will meet them, yes. Certainly, I think it would just be wrong for me not to do so. Let me assure her, though, that this decision and this application will not be reversed, and there will be no attempt to do anything of the sort. But I'd be happy to meet them because I think it would be right to hear their points of view.